Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Conor.
This is Rangru, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we are bringing you some Division 2 action here on Slutsk. Rang, who do we have? What are they bringing?
Left hand side in the blue, we have GreenHD playing first Fauchimiaga with a balanced income. Right hand side in red, we have AS playing 8th Infantry with a Maverick income.
Alrighty, now we've seen the Indians very, very rarely, and I have to say I have a soft spot for that 75mm self-propelled armored car at the top.
Oh yeah.
Almost as thin as his skin is. But what should we expect between these two rather infantry-heavy divisions?
Yeah, I mean, first Fauchimiaga has those scary Fauchimiagas, of course, absolute slaughterers of enemy infantry and a lot of tigers in his build, which is pretty fitting for Sloot. Well, 8th Indian, of course, pretty standard Commonwealth stuff, but it's pretty good standard Commonwealth stuff, and their infantry may not be Fauchimiaga quality, but they're pretty decent, all things considering.
Yeah, we can see right there Gurkha's trooping on in with some Thompsons, Lee Enfield's, Brens, and they got the gams, man.
The Gams and
And
the Boston gonna be hitting
yes.
that pack 40. We've seen a very aggressive push all the way in the northern side from AS, moving his Indian assault pioneers to capture that town, suppressing the pack 40. A very ballsy but rather rough role play.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I feel like to a certain extent, early anti-air is not really in vogue as much anymore. Like, you desperately need to get boots on the ground. So, this is kind of the consequence of it. You cannot go and just lead everything to chance.
Yep, yep. That was a pretty effective bomb and run. Usually getting those early airplanes can screw you over, especially if you are playing like a Maverick or Vanguard income. But AS is following through. He's got the Sherman and the scout car. There were two scout cars really leading the charge. And even though it is a risky maneuver, it can pay off. Because if you capture that forest, you're in a really good position on the northern side.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Is that, ooh, do we have another Boston coming in? Geez, a
Oh,
second Boston being
wow.
brought up to the LG-42. This is a huge investment early on.
Yeah. Yeah, but... Yeah, it's a what? Bloody... Oh, around about like 100 points each, which is still a, not too bad, but still rather significant income on airplanes early on.
Well, yeah, I mean, proportionately speaking, we're talking, just under a full minutes of income. But one of the things that, I think I really kind of appreciate about the 8th Indian, and I know, you and I are going to probably disagree on this, I find it fascinating to have that autocar be having that recon optics. Normally, that would be a death trap. Like that Sherman. The Pack 40, though, I mean, that M3 autocar, it's a fascinating weapons platform. It really shouldn't work, but it kind of does.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really good cheap fire support. It's essentially a Sherman with no skin. That's really what it is. But having radio and recon is pretty good for 30 bloody points. Yeah, it's really good for the points you're paying for it.
Exactly. You get recon optics, you get a little bit of mod deuce, and you have, a 75 mil on it. So nothing too shady there. Nothing too
Shabby.
shoddy. Yeah, I was one of those things. I was like, this is a family video. This is a family video. But we'll get there.
People are
Um,
watching this with their families. I'm a bit concerned.
well, you know what? When I was a kid, I would have loved to have this game out. I swear to God, it was one of those things that I would have watched every single cast like multiple times. But whatever. Maybe a misspent youth on my part. Um, I do want to note, Fallujah makers to the south are matching up pretty well against these Indian rifles. Now, unfortunately for them, there is another M3 that's just shellacking the town, and of course, really causing a lot of issues for those front positions.
We're seeing AS really taking advantage of the firepower, or fire support, I should say, available on his deck early on. I mean, we've just seen down south, he's managing to hold back the Fauchimiagas with that fire support, and all are in the far south. It's pretty even Stevens between that hill and either side really wanting to commit, because really a lot of the heavy action, the important action, is happening on the northern flank.
You're absolutely correct there. We do have a Pupshin over here at the 88 mil. Remember, that is only AT, which is kind of interesting because if you look at the 8th Indian, yes, there are Shermans, but you don't have the same kind of usage, I think, as you might have gotten from even a lighter pack.
Yeah, poaching's only really gonna have any effectiveness trying to clear out that forest, and there's not a whole lot left to clear out. And if it's rather short range, it's not gonna be all that useful in the open field fight. And we've seen another airplane, Hurricane Mark IV, the AT cannons.
This has a punching power. There's potential here. Ooh, and the Sagittario does actually freak him out quite severely. I don't think the Hurricane's going to come out. I mean, that Sagittario, you can laugh about the Italian plane all you want to, but that thing is quite deadly.
Yep, and fast. He's gonna get right in that Hurricane, and does get the kill.
So not everything going quite the 8th Indians' way. I mean, actually, we can see Assault Pioneers in the center going down. And this is kind of the issue, I think, that we're always going to be seeing over here with Slutsk, is that if you have a heavy tank, and like you said already, we do see them on the first over here, it's really easy to control large swaths of ground. And if you're an infantry division, it is not easy to control large swaths of ground without getting pounded by something.
Oh, or a 17-pounder. AS actually manages uses effectively to knock out the Jagdpanzer, but of course, the danger of using anti-tank guns is you're rather vulnerable to high explosives, and that 410 almost knocking out the 17-pounder.
Well, interestingly enough, there's a 40 mil over there. There's a... Oh, the Sagittario is still on the field. So the 410, quite deadly. Not going to be able to get there in time before the Boston gets its rounds off. So this is going to hurt quite a bit, I'd imagine.
Yeah. We've seen some danger close fire support. Yeah, that Autocar holding off against all the Fauchimiagas. Raw the Sagittario get the kill. That Boston hasn't actually... Nari's evac. He doesn't have automatic Winchester, so...
No, he's not... I don't think he's going to get out. The
What?
Sagittario's not going to get out either, though. Ooh.
Yeah, coming in clutch, yeah. And shoots it down. That was a pretty good... I think that was not intentional, but a good bait maneuver.
Yes, that's fair. That's very fair. I am surprised that there's actually two 40 mils out in the field. Ooh, down south we do have a push over here. The Gurkhas are going teeth to teeth with the Fallschirmjägers. And like we said, the Gurkhas can be pretty nasty up close, but you gotta get through that MG fire first.
Yeah, once you get up in CQC range and the Fallschirmjägers do lose a bit of bite, really just having that fanatical trait is gonna allow them to survive a little bit more with fire compared to other infantry. But yeah, GreenHD doesn't have a whole lot of support on his infantry in that, like, central town area. Okay, he's got a Jagdpanzer being brought up, which could actually help turn the tide here, because there's not a whole lot of anti-tank here from AS.
Not currently, anyway. And that's one thing that, again, if you are out of range of those gammon bombs, which it is not difficult to be, kind of hard for the Gurkhas to really do a whole lot here.
I do like how AS is spamming a crap ton of 17-pounders in his deck. He has 2 cards of M&B phase. And on a map like this, and really just in general, those 17-pounders are extremely useful, especially for a division which doesn't really have a whole lot of other heavy tanks. I mean, you're really just using Canadian Shermans.
Very true. And you can see right now, this is kind of shaping up as you might expect. Big push out of here, the 8th Indian, to go and beat up on Phase A here. And of course, I mean, Phase B is going to get pretty ugly pretty quick. But I mean, that's really what you have to do. You gotta play aggressive. You gotta make sure you take those tickets fast and early. And I think the 8th Indian, while we might denigrate maybe some of the Commonwealth infantry behind it, this is, as you said, before the cast kind of got started, this is solid infantry. These are guys you have to watch out for. You have to make sure that you're not getting complacent.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how AS does manage to hold out in the later stages of the match. I do believe he has enough anti-tank to deal with any Tigers and Jagdpanzers. Really not a whole lot of Jagdpanzers. Only they have 3 of them in A phase, and then it says Tigers, which honestly aren't that scary. As many rays to skin that sort of cat. But he's doing decent so far considering his income. He's been putting that pressure with the +1 bleed on green. Hopefully in B phase for him, he can get the +2. And it seems like he's doing that. He's got the momentum as he's slowly pushed through the center.
That was actually one thing I was going to ask you. Because, a lot of first groups we see, more Stogs as opposed to the Tigers. Is that an oversight? Is that an issue? What do you think?
Oh no, in Slutsk it's definitely a rough risk. I mean, I'm never a huge fan of heavy tanks in SD2, even on a map like this, just because they're so, you know, they usually get killed before they do much
Hmm.
effective. But it's his Slutsk, and I don't know, especially if he exploits their usage in the northern flank, I think he could make some good progress. But at the same time, it's a whole lot of 17-pounders he's going to have to contend with.
Right now, we are seeing territory has been taken back. It's a 15-9 in favor of AS. Um, Taking a quick look over here. They could be 20 mils on the field. Why that? I'm not liking this lack of 20 mils from Green's side of things. I feel like that's certainly an oversight. Having this dual purpose, I think would serve him a little bit better than bringing in Jagdpanzers against something when there's not been that much of tank action over here from the 8th Indian.
Yeah, he definitely does need to start investing a little bit of an anti-aircraft net. Or maybe just a few more fighters. No, he only really has that one card of fighters, actually, so he's gonna just have to make them count.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's not going to be easy for him to do. But we are into phase B, so that does mean we're going to start seeing a lot more Pios being brought into the first Fallschirmjäger. You see a couple being brought into the south, trying to support that flank, which is not lagging per se. In fact, you can see they're doing rather well. At least until the next wave of Gurkhas and Assault Pioneers comes on in.
Yeah, and AS is managing to dig himself into a pretty good defensive position up north. Too bad he hasn't managed to get an anti-tank gun into the forest where the Vickers are, because that would be perfect for just zoning out pretty much any advance from GreenHD in the future. He has to get pretty ballsy with these Gurkha rifles, charging the Kubel MG head on.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite as scary. The Kubel MG, of course, has zero real firepower when it comes right down to it. And we can see it on the, it doesn't have a thick skin, obviously, at all. Um, but yeah, yeah.
He's going to be trying to get into that forest and probably try and disrupt at Pack 40, which I do quite like. But yeah, just the momentum so far has really been AS's favour. I think Green HD, I'd say he could do something down south, but off-map artillery says otherwise.
Ooh, the AOP, forgive me, I don't know the caliber on that. Was that like a battleship caliber? No.
That's a good question. What is that again? Oh yeah, it's a funky-looking recon car.
Yeah, is that the boys on top of it right there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah.
Just just look at, yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be causing a whole lot of mayhem very shortly here.
And perfect timing for it, too, because that's right as those pioneers get onto the front lines. That's going to be really, really bad for
Uh,
Green
and
HD.
he does have pretty much a platoon of Gurkha rifles being brought up, so if he times this right, he'd be able to rush in through, take at territory, and maybe nab a few like scrotch and surrenders.
Now, we are going to see in the meantime, 17-pounder does engage into the Ogpens over here in the south central position. Even as, is that more? Yeah, that's more Fallschirmjägers being thrown right back into that grinder again. You know, we always talk about the wisdom of kind of attacking where your opponent isn't. Would these Fallschirmjägers be better in that central, kind of like bulge to the north, do you think, or no?
It's really the one problem with Fallschirmjägers right now is really just lack of fire support backing them up. They're very good infantry, but
Mhm.
uh, well, AS has been just using a very good job of his Shermans and Autocars and air power, and now artillery with that 114 mil on the field to actually curb those Fallschirmjägers from being able to do too much damage by themselves. And the nice thing as well of 8th Indian Infantry is that, you know, they're not Fallschirmjäger firepower levels, but they are 12-man Scrog, and with Gurkha rifles, you've got Fanatical trait, with the Indian guys, you have Raider trait, which does increase your survivability quite a bit when you're being shot at from FG-42s galore.
To say that it increases your survivability is maybe slightly disingenuous. It certainly increases your staying power, I would say for sure. Because your survivability is a little bit different if you're fanatical. It just means you're not running away. Just so at least you hold the territory for a little bit longer. At least you
Yeah,
force the enemy to waste the firepower. Yeah. So I realize it's 100% a nitpick, but yeah. Um, Sherman coming in down south and those pioneers. That one thing those guys do not have is they do not have a committed source of anti-tank. And there was a Pupchin, I thought, down there, but there is no longer a Pupchin down there. So
Probably got pooped on.
it probably is a pretty good assumption there.
Yeah, we got the
Um,
Panther Shrek, but he's not close enough.
no.
Or pinned. Being pinned doesn't help either.
Well, another Boston run, and yeah, the Pack 40 is going to go down. That's almost a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
And again, we're seeing the price being paid by not having an anti-air net. Sagittario goes back in, doesn't stop the bombs.
How much damage will they do? We're seeing a good bombing run on the Gurkha rifles, kills the Pack 14, one fell swoop, and that's
But
exactly what AS needs to do.
yeah, and I know we have God vision, but I feel like there's been enough attack runs over here that there really should have been a more active response than what's going on here.
Yeah, like this is another instance of AS manners and uses air power actually very effectively to, snipe key units from
Hmm.
GreenHD's position here. And he's just building up an even better defensive position up north. He's got two 40mm Bofors up north. He pretty much just has a good amount of infantry and a good enough firepower to back them up. Where just looking on the front line, he has a solid defense. Like, Green only really has the Fauci by themselves, and they're not holding up to snuff.
No, they are not. It's not like he has a ton of artillery to call in either. He's got a couple battery Fuhrers and all that. Great, but the mortars, he's already lost two of them. They went down south. I'm sorry, the second one hasn't died yet. Forgive me, but the first one has very much died.
I'm seeing another off-map artillery strike. I think AS is going to take advantage of this once again and push on up with his assault pioneers. AS has taken a little bit of casualties with his infantry from the Fauci, but he still has a decent amount of troops to do his counter-attack, but it's more to say regular attack.
That might be the case. Forgive me, I'm watching this 410 coming to the north. Doesn't get anywhere close to dropping his bomb load. Boston, in the meantime, he just pounds the same area just in case that Pack 40 has somehow managed to survive.
Very paranoid, yeah, about Pack 40, but rightfully so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
usually you wouldn't blow it, especially with how the bomb pattern is on the Boston. Unusual last time, it's not, a guaranteed one-shot kill. It's not a, precision fighter bomber, so to speak. So, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Another Boston strike down south here.
Guess you could say it's been such a long time. I think they hear him calling.
The Sagittario definitely heard him calling out his and does get a very good kill here. He definitely needs to be using... He's got a little bit of anti-air down south, but yeah, combined with the few Sagittarios he has left are going to be vital. But AS does have a pretty good anti-aircraft now. I mean, he has two Bofors down south as well. And as we know, those 40mm Bofors are just MVP of anti-aircraft artillery.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. The one thing I don't think I've ever noticed is that when planes get shot down, there is debris that falls off the plane. I don't know, I've literally never noticed that. Hundreds of hours in this game, never paid attention to it. Um,
That's because
now,
your planes never get shot down, right?
oh, of course. Of course my planes never get shot down. And if they do, I'm covering my eyes because I can't bear to watch. um, Another 410 up to the north. This guy's probably not going to make it out either. Geez, so again, Bofors just going to pound him and pound him and pound him.
Yeah.
Wings damaged, so he clipped his wings, but maybe not get kill. Okay, no, he managed to get out with his tail between his legs.
You're also seeing GreenHD uses LG-42 effectively to counter battery the Bofors gun at long range, and that's exactly the sort of target she needs to be knocking out. If he can knock out those Bofors guns, then he could probably actually start using his 410s and effective fire support rows to back up the Fauci. But even then, there's still a Sherman, an Autocar, on that 17-pounder up north, which is going to make any actual advancements pretty difficult.
Can we just talk about the fact that that howitzer over here, the 114, you can see right now, he's pounding the other side of the map. Yes, and effective fire takes out the 20 mil.
Ah, thank God for radios, man. They make all the difference with artillery.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
massive push in the center here from AS managing to make a great chunk of ground here, forcing a surrender. We're seeing GreenHD only bringing in some grenadiers and also getting hit from the artillery here, so not going to be the best position for him to be in.
Nope, not at all.
Oh god, yeah,
Oh,
he's just right in the middle of it.
that's true, but remember, we are into sea now, so this is the point where the 8th starts to flag, and the 1st wonders if it is the worst or if it is in fact the best.
Indeed. Yeah, the income definitely is going to start to hurt AS, but he's done a very good job in setting himself up. He's got the 2-point bleed, he has a lot of units still on the field, he's been trading pretty effectively, and he still has that momentum and good defensive positions, and we're definitely seeing the momentum come into play down south as those Bostons are going to be leveling the Grenadiers out of our town.
Yep, this is a highway of death here. It truly, truly is. That what had been 3 squads that could have probably kept things in decent order, completely gone now.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a tiger, but you don't bring tigers into town fights for a very, very good reason.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot for that tiger to do apart from infantry fire support. There's a Sherman being brought up, but if he moves too much with that tiger, he'll be sent to Pound Town.
Well, there's another Sherman on the hillside too.
Oh yeah. We've
Yep.
seen the push down south here from GreenHD of his infantry, but without the anti-tank to deal with that Sherman, he is just going to get pounded.
He absolutely is. You're absolutely right there, Cotton. Um, have we seen actually a lot of Führers being brought in? I see one in that southern town. I can't think that we've seen too many leader troops being brought in actually from the 1st.
Yeah, not many. You're definitely correct in that regard. It's mainly just been just regular Fallschirmjägers, and up north, 2 are being pinned down, and they are just going to get absolutely slacked on here by the machine gun fire. Just so much machine gun fire.
I guess I'm looking around here trying to see the deck. Yeah, 14 Vickers overall. Yeah, there's definitely still some time for those.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's definitely a good call bringing in Oils Vickers because, a lot of the Commonwealth infantry don't have great long-range machine gun firepower with the regular squad. I mean, the Brens are decent, but you need a lot of them, but especially against Fallschirmjäger troops and just German infantry in general. The Vickers help bridge the gap between the poorer firepower of your infantry. You're seeing a big push in the center here from GreenHD.
Don't worry, there's Boston's coming. And there continues to be very, very little anti-anything. So, I mean, the Sagittario will mix with the Spitfire, and that's great. And the 410 might get the bombing off, but there's still 2 Bofors over there, so it's not looking too good.
Oh, and he was a little bit long in the Boston bombing run, yeah.
True. 114 is still suppressing the area. Because there's still one to the south. He's going to be probably missing that first barrage. Yeah, there is not much left to speak of over here in that, the northern half. All of the 1st troops are down here in the south. Was that just the Sagittario I saw?
Yeah, Sagittario got killed from the Bofors. So he's not looking great. But GreenHD feels like he is not gaining momentum per se, but he is really trying to put some pressure down south. He's engaging right now with AS's troops. Once again, those Bostons are just going to keep on coming, and all those guys being forced to spread out. Most of those guys are pinned, and that pretty much goes out push.
Absolutely. I would say it's a bit of arrested development. However, I don't watch the show enough to actually make any other word puns other than the actual term itself. But we're back to a 15-9, so 3 minutes on the clock to kind of see if we can see GreenHD turn something around, pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Yes, which I doubt. But I find it very interesting so far of AS how he has managed to use air support so effectively. Like we kind of begrudge him a little bit on using airplanes so early on because that's usually not a good sign because it's a lot of income early on airplanes, bombers, but he made it work. Those Bostons have definitely paid themselves off and gem some. Even if it didn't get a whole lot of kills, apart from the Pack 40s, It's mainly just suppressing all of GreenHD's infantry, stopping
Hmm.
him from being able to move up, and then he just managed to use his fire support effectively, AS that is,
Hmm.
to bog down the Fauchimiagas.
Very, very true. The Boston's just continue to run constantly. Ju-88 comes in, but he's about 20 minutes too late, unfortunately. Yes, the bombs will hit, but to not as much effect.
Yeah, yeah. Green really needs to invest as much more into like proper anti. I mean, he does have Flak 80H in his deck, and those would probably be a pretty good call in, especially on Slutsk, because you also have the long range anti tank capabilities you can take advantage of.
Yeah, the only downside to them would have been that at this time in this place, ooh, Sherman and Autocar go down almost within seconds of each other to the north. So tiny bit of life. Um, but they're so effectively counter batteried. And I mean, and the same thing, you have great sight lines. Also means there's very, very little cover for them. So Catch 22, all things considered. The Grenadier potential breakout in this northern crossroads gets completely shut down. Yes, the Vickers gets hit, but that's the price you pay for victory. Yikes!
Oh damn! It was Boston to pin on point. It's just whenever there's a infantry platoon pushing up, the Bostons just come around to say, no, no, you don't get to push up. Your pushing privileges have been revoked for today. Try again tomorrow.
And you know what? I don't. Yeah, the Tiger. I mean,
Tiger dying? I'm shocked, Khan. Shocked.
say it isn't so. Here's your 25 pounder, sir. Thank you very much. Um,
My crop steel.
More like corrupted steel.
Hey.
Um, yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything that really can be done here. And the Tiger to the south, well, his nose has been bent by the Sherman 5, so not a whole lot can be done here. I think we should take this to a times two,
I
sir.
think that's a fair 27-20.
Yes, sir.
Times two.
Indeed. So, folks, as this kind of continues to go on over here, as I've now paused the video, I'm going to restart the video here. Anyway, so we're going to see right probably a couple seconds earlier on this one. Kind of seeing, again, you kind of have to have that anti-aircraft net, and even if it's just a couple 20 mils, even if it's a single kind of something, don't be afraid to kind of bring that out there. It's always, always necessary.
Yeah, especially just how heavy, and especially early on, we saw those Bostons being invested into. Like, he really needed to deal with. And also just all the other fire support, the heavy artillery, the Shermans, the Autocars, the machine guns. It was a very good use of combined arms warfare from AS, while Green HT was definitely a little bit more just focusing very much on infantry. I know
Hmm.
Svalchimiaga's infantry are great, but they're not great when a Sherman's shooting at them.
True. True.
Oh god, yeah, KD, that's pretty much almost a double difference, yeah, for being exact.
True. True. And I think honestly the only reason it wasn't is because he bombed himself, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, kills, nothing really that crazy from the kill side. Everyone's kind of done their part on the 8th Indian perspective.
Hmm.
And then losses, nothing really crazy either. So here we go.
Well, and that's kind of what we said though, is that if you're going to go be looking at what, let's just say what everybody's kind of going through, we are going to consistently see that using air power, getting those stresses, allowing the kind of follow-up kills, that's certainly a way to get to victory on this.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very... I don't know, this is a real good use of combined arms from AS, and also really just shown why 8th Indian is so good. They don't have any amazing Wunderwaffen units, but it's just, you have kind of a tool for every situation, and enough infantry to survive.
Exactly. Exactly. Any final words of wisdom, sir?
No.
Oh, folks, in that case, then give us a little bit until Thursday so we can come up with some more wisdom. Until then, though, I'm Conalwork.
I'm Rangru, take it easy.